have a passion for bringing sustainability into the workplace. But what is sustainability? Many people think sustainability just has to do with environmental impacts, but that's not all there is to it. Today, I want to share a couple of basic definitions as well as the model that I prefer to use when thinking about sustainability. Let's start with a couple basic definitions. First, from the classic Merriam-Webster. Sustainable means of or relating to a method of harvesting or using a resource so that the resource is not depleted or permanently damaged. Or of or related to a lifestyle involving the use of sustainable methods. Investopedia's definition takes human needs into account. They define sustainability as focusing on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And finally, let's look at the EPA, where they focus more on the environmental impacts. They say that sustainability is based on a simple principle. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends, either directly or indirectly, on our natural environment. To pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. I find myself drawn to pieces of each of those definitions, yet none of them quite fit how I define sustainability.
My definition of sustainability is when the needs of society are met, environmental impacts are within acceptable ranges, and both will stay that way for the future.
I prefer to look at the triple bottom line, aka people, planet, and profit, and then tie it to an idea called Doughnut Economics. Let's dive deeper into that now. You may have heard me talk about the triple bottom line before, but as a reminder, it focuses around the 3 P's. People, which is focused on meeting society's needs. In an organization, this is around your employees and community. Planet, which reduces environmental impact. In an organization, you want to focus on your supply chain and your offices. And then finally, profit, where in order to be able to continue paying your employees a decent wage, as well as afford those quality products that have lowered environmental impacts, you do need to focus on making a profit. A couple years ago, I came across a book called Doughnut Economics by Kate Raworth, and my world shifted. Kate proposes an innovative new economic model called the doughnut, which fits perfectly with my focus on the triple bottom line. The idea is to create a regenerative and distributive economy by focusing on meeting the needs of society, while also restricting environmental impacts instead of focusing on uninhibited GDP growth. This model ends up looking like a donut, where the space between the social foundation and ecological ceiling is focused on the economy. When thinking about sustainability at work, I like to focus on that middle piece of the donut, where you ensure that your employees have their needs met while also limiting the environmental impact that your services and products offer. Let's take a closer look at the donut. Raworth has already done the work for us and has created 21 dimensions within both the social foundation and the ecological ceiling. For many of them, there are also metrics to help define how you measure those impacts. Starting with the social foundation, some of them may seem pretty basic. People need food, housing, clean water. Where Raworth stretches past the basics is where she talks about social equity, political voice, and peace and justice. How do we measure these dimensions? Social equity is measured based on a ratio between the income of the top 10% and the bottom 40%. Political voice is focused on ensuring people have a voice and influence over the decisions that impact their lives. And finally, peace and justice focuses on personal security as well as government accountability and is measured using the corruption index and the homicide rate. Now let's look at the environmental side. It's more than just climate change and pollution. It also includes things like land conversion, freshwater withdrawal, and nitrogen and phosphorus loading. Land conversion is when the natural world is converted for human purposes, destroying carbon sinks, wetlands, and reducing biodiversity. Freshwater withdrawal, aka water usage, focuses on our increased consumption of water and how much the planet can take before it is too late. Nitrogen and phosphorus loading occurs when excess fertilizer washes into our waterways and oceans, causing algal blooms that can create dead zones and be toxic. So how can you bring the donut into your workplace? A lot of the dimensions seem too large or daunting for an individual or organization to tackle, which is completely understandable. What I suggest you do is look at each dimension and see how it impacts your company and community, and then set your own goals and metrics within that area. Let's take political voice as an example. There are a couple of different ways that you can tackle this dimension. For example, you could start a voter registration drive within your company, or give employees the day off to vote. Looking at it in a slightly different way, you can ensure that employees have a voice in their company itself. Make sure that leadership is looking to employees for feedback on decisions that will impact them. My company does this on a regular basis. Leadership is always looking to employees to help guide the organization forward in a positive manner. Raworth is doing amazing work, and in just the past 2 years has started the Doughnut Economics Action Lab, a community where people can share tools and resources on how to bring the donut into reality. I'm going to be looking into this space a little further and will be sure to report out what I find. If you want to learn more, I highly suggest checking out doughuteconomics.org, link below. Thanks for joining me. Have your own definition of sustainability or thoughts on the Doughnut Economics model? Share in the comments below. Before I leave you, have a fun sustainability fact. Did you know that 2/3 of the aluminum ever produced is still in use today, thanks to recycling? Imagine if we could do that with plastic. Stay groovy.